Hello, and welcome to another video from Sustenance and Covering, the only YouTube channel you need to not only survive the current apocalypse, but actually enjoy it. And today we're going to be making a video in the kitchen because this is going to be part one in a new series I'm doing about my food storage system. Everybody's going to have their own preference as to how they do this, but there are a few things that I've learned from experience that I'd like to share with you. One of my experiences was going through Hurricane Katrina. A experience that was shared by this particular refrigerator. If you notice, there's a piece of blue tape on there. That's where the water was inside this house, which is also where the water was inside the refrigerator. Refrigerators seem like they're waterproof, but they're not. All the drawers in here were filled to the top with salt water and sewage. However, everything above that blue tape in there was okay. I wouldn't have eaten anything that was below it, mostly because it was fresh produce, salad items, things like that, and there's really no way to wash sewage off of something like that. And a lot of the things in the drawers were destroyed because water got in them. But everything above that was okay. Now, most people, and this is a fact, when the hurricane was over, most people took their refrigerators and taped them shut and dragged them out to the curb, and they sat there for 30 days, some of them for 45 days, just stinking. The whole city smelled like rotten food. And a lot of these people didn't get water. They just felt like since the electricity went out that the food was instantaneously destroyed by lack of refrigeration. But this refrigerator here stayed cold. We even actually had little pieces of ice floating in the ice cube tray for a week. Well, probably. We had ice cubes in there for probably about 5 days. But even after 10 days, you could stick your hand in the center of this pile and it was still cool. So the food was still good, and that's what we ate. We didn't open a single can after the hurricane. We ate meat every day, just anything that was up there. We had a whole bunch of pizzas we had baked and put into Ziploc bags. We were eating on those for a long time, and we didn't have no way to cook them, but you know, they were pre-cooked pizzas. We just took them, put them out in the car with the windows rolled up and on the dash, and they got hot enough to eat. But when things thaw out, it doesn't mean you throw them away. It means that they're thawed out. When things sit in freezer at above 70 degrees for a week, well, that's different. Then that's usually ruined. But not a whole lot, if anything, in our freezer got wasted because we were eating from the outside in, and as the things on the outside were thawing, we were eating them. But you can see inside my freezer, it's basically the same things you would have in your freezer. It's just the way I think of them may be different. Now in the refrigerator, let me just shut this. Everything in the refrigerator that's in a container says somewhere on it, refrigerate immediately after opening, all the way from the salad dressing to the ketchup to the butter, everything. However, it may interest you to know that up until recently, people never put items like mayonnaise, mustard, and ketchup in the refrigerator. They were stored in a cabinet, and they never went bad. For those of you who think that the eggs in mayonnaise will make it go bad, you're kind of right. Because mayonnaise has got the ability to turn rancid, but if you're thinking about salmonella, then that's wrong, because mayonnaise is made with pasteurized eggs. You cannot get salmonella from pasteurized eggs. Salmonella comes from chicken feces. And just what that means is, here's where I keep my eggs when I get them from a chicken. Fresh eggs go right here, because I don't like my eggs going in the fridge before I eat them. And you'll see there's little specks on them. That's chicken poop. We never wash our eggs until we're ready to eat them, because there's a skin that's you can't even see on there, that when you wash it, that skin comes off and the egg dies. These eggs are live eggs. They're actually just baby chickens, and they'll sit there for 30 days without changing one bit, because they're living beings. Now the ones we put in the refrigerator, that's a little bit different, but not much. And the ones you get at the store are not live eggs, so I don't know exactly how that would work. But things like cheese, when cheese goes bad, it gets noticeable mold on it. You can still eat it when it's got mold on it, but it's not going to kill you. And it's easy to tell if it's moldy. So it's not like As soon as it gets warm, you have to throw it away. Sodas, they can be stored anywhere. You don't have to have that in the fridge. And like I said, mayonnaise, there's mayonnaise. Behind the mayonnaise is 3 or 4 bottles of wine. And wine that is unopened will not alter at all. You can store it for years and years and years. And if it is open, it'll still be good. It just will taste a little stale. Up on the top right is marinated artichoke hearts. And on the top left is pickles. Those are not going to go bad, not for a long time. So you don't have to worry about that. Some of the other items that are in there, like we already mentioned, most of these condiments, they're not going to deteriorate. You know, as far as putting a lawyer making these companies put refrigerator after opening on these labels, you can put that on anything. You can buy a new house with a label on the door that says keep this house in the refrigerator, and sure enough, if a house will last for 40, 50 years, if you put it in the refrigerator, it'll probably last twice that long. But nobody's going to put their house in the refrigerator, and unless you plan on going months and months and months without eating the stuff you buy, there's really no reason to put anything in the refrigerator. So when your electricity goes out, the food in your refrigerator is still survivable food. Now, another aspect of this that's important. My father had 2 refrigerators and a freezer filled with food before the hurricane, but his deal was to make sure he had a generator and plenty of gas. So he had about 30 gallons of gas, and maybe 4 or 5 days after the hurricane, his gas ran out. They would only sell you about 1.5 gallons of gas at a time. You had to wait in line for 2 hours. My daddy kept track of every gasoline receipt from every drop that he bought after the hurricane to turn into FEMA, and he spent $300 on gas to save probably $50 worth of food. And the reality is they still ended up throwing most of the food away anyway. So a generator and gas is not the way to save the food in your refrigerator. The way to save the food in your refrigerator is to eat it first. Whenever you go through an emergency, do not open cans. Do not open potato chips. Don't open anything in your pantry. Eat the stuff that's in your fridge. And then start working on the other things.